rode with for a long time, and we have faced a lot of odds that have been insurmountable, and yet great results have come. And so I'd like to shout out and invite up Joe Bondy, who is an incredible attorney, an incredible advocate, and yet again, one of those people that has made a difference, and we have to acknowledge that, because we wouldn't be here today if it weren't for people like him. So, to my friend, my colleague, a guy I'm very proud to know, here's to Joe Bondy.
Thank you, David. Thank you, David Holland. What an amazing event, right? This is like 100 people, and here we are a couple years later. It's literally 2.5 years since our last NORML FORML, and we've done so much, right? There's so many accomplishments, so much in New York. We've got legalization for those activists who are working really hard to pass MRTA, to get like a version of our marijuana law passed that involved equity and diversity and inclusion. We really rang the bell. Like, we really achieved that thing, right? But I'm not really here to talk glowingly about this stuff, because I really think there's so much more work that has to be done. And 26 years ago, started practicing law. I joined the NORML National Legal Committee like 25 years ago. I'm a life member of the National Legal Committee. I had the privilege of being invited to join their board last year. It's like, for me, quite a privilege, you know. It took a long time to get there. But I remember from the very beginning thinking that if we could reach a day where no longer were people coming into my office and like facing 10-year mandatory minimum sentences, you know, and facing like the civil forfeiture, the criminal forfeiture of everything they owned. And if it wasn't their mom or their like daughter or their son or their father, if it wasn't like a family being destroyed, if I could reach that day and when like I was out of business with the pod cases, that would be awesome. I had the privilege of finishing a federal trial a couple weeks ago. It was election law, campaign finance law, and cannabis licensing. Kaboom. It wasn't like mandatory minimums, it was like mainstream cannabis. We reached this enormous pinnacle. I got to pick a jury of people who were with me on cannabis. I got to cross-examine cannabis lawyers and experts on cannabis. We got to talk about cannabis as this remarkable thing, but you know what? Like in New York, social equity licenses, half of these licenses are going to go to like social equity applicants. That's an aspiration, right? All right, that's an aspiration. That's like, you don't get the goal, you don't get 50% of these social equity licenses unless you're asking, right? So for now, I'm happy to say I'm a privilege. I have 24 New York cannabis licensing clients, many of them social equity applicants, and we're going to ring the bell again in New York. And we're going to make it a New York-centric social equity state where it really matters. And it's not like people coming in and marauding around and saying they care about things like diversity and equity and inclusion when they really don't, right? But the message I had, because I had these like prepared remarks in my pocket, I had this thing here. Hold on a second. Because I knew if I went off script, I'd like talk about only the things that really... That's it, right. So, as I said, that reminds me, I almost forgot, we've been living through this like crazy and dangerous and dark time in our country for 2 years, right? It's like absolutely nuts. I've been sued by a QAnon lawyer, I've been chased around by like this friggin' lunatic Devin Nunes and his staff since the last time I saw you. We live in a dangerous and dark, dark time, right? We did well, you know, with David Holland's help, we won a dismissal in the District of Maryland. I'll say David represented my client, Lev Parnas, and I had Ballard and Spar represent me, and we beat the crap out of it. It was remarkable. But I had to weather that shit. And we've all had to weather this stuff. Like, people are rioting in the streets. Our country is torn asunder. You see what's happening in our capital. And it's not just about pot. Like the truth of the matter is that I got into pot because of all the other social justice issues that marijuana represents. And now it's time for me to take all of you and bring you with us, because that's where we need to go. We need to end mass incarceration. We need bail reform. We need all the kinds of programming. We need everyone clean slates 100%, but you need it to really be, not just for us to say it could be. You need people to make it really be. And so NORML has been that vehicle for me. When I started as a young lawyer, like having the privilege of defending marijuana activists throughout the country, and it was quite a privilege, right? They sent me and I paid my way and I did that shit, but I defended people in these cases who frequently were like my mom or like my dad and had gotten cannabis to medical patients in the early days. It was quite a movement. And now, to think about, we go and we dress up for the cannabis formal. Like here, we're dressed up for the normal formal. We used to like dress down for it. It was like a Grateful Dead show. It was like something totally different. But now, this is an amazing industry. But for it to really be like, for it to be everything that we always wanted it to be, which was we had that clean slate, we've got to treat it that way and make it ours, right? The movement is indomitable. We've created this like lever, right? We can move the world, but only if we do it together. So it's great to see everybody here tonight back for real. It's just amazing. So donate to NORML, support NORML, and support everything about this movement because think about how far we